Making a video. Different camera. This camera has failed me once again, which is horrible, terrible, and awful. So I have to use this other camera. Hopefully it'll be better. I have to put a better lens on it. So, whatever. So we're back to Anaconda again, but it's a very similar argument to the fake Sagan argument, and it even contains the really cliche, empty, meaningless kind of arguments that are too often present, like, why don't you just kill yourself? Like, this is always just happening to me, it doesn't have anything to do with anything real in the world. I mean, you're basically explaining why Tyrannosaurus isn't a great model, and basically pointing out how human isn't any better than Tyrannosaurus, and blah blah blah. And instead of making a counter argument, the argument is, well, if you don't like Tyrannosauruses, just kill yourself, and that fixes the problem. They don't exist anymore, right? Because you won't be able to see them and complain about them, so therefore they won't exist. If you don't like AIDS, kill yourself, right? If you don't like herpes, kill yourself. If you don't like anything bad that's happening, if you don't like some kind of horrible thing that happens, if you don't like child molestation, kill yourself. Don't try to fix it. It's not to prevent it. It's just a stupid, I mean, you know, it's a really stupid argument. So anyway, that's where Anaconda ends, is with that silly argument. Like it or lump it. He really meant it when he said that, I guess. And it's, you know, don't fight, don't resist, don't cure, don't fix. Just lump it, because we win. And, you know, fuck you. No. Okay, I'm going to fight the Borg. Sorry. Yeah. So, I'm just saying, it's just such a lame thing to argue from. The argument from, if you don't like it, kill yourself, is just too stupid an argument. You know, especially in a world that needs people. You know, you don't like global warming? Kill yourself. Is that really how people should react? You don't like peak oil? Kill yourself. Fuck you. Alright, so another thing he's arguing for is this idea that somehow he recognizes that we're doomed, but you have to embrace the doom. And you have to embrace it in such a real way. And the real way you embrace it is that, think about it like you're in a bus. And you're a bunch of middle-aged people in the bus, and you know, and somebody tells you, guess what, the bus is going to go over a cliff. Yeah, it's in the future, not today, not tomorrow, but yeah, in the future, it's going to go right over a cliff. And, you know, here's the proof. It's undeniable. That's what's going to happen. And so we're in our little bouncy bus ride, and it's not a great bus ride, but it's a bus ride, and that's all that matters. It's the only bus we have, so we're riding it. And now these people say, well, gee, we can't let the bus go over the cliff empty, because, you know, we might die before the bus gets to the cliff, and what good would that be, right? Because we don't want to, we don't want there not to be victims on the bus when it goes over the cliff, right? It's just so much cooler when the bus goes over the cliff if there's victims to be smashed to pieces, and to be lying at the bottom of the cliff all broken into pieces going, oh shit, kill me, kill me, kill me. That, you know, why would we want to miss out on that? So yeah, let's make some people so they can be on the bus and go over the cliff, because that's just so much cooler, right? You just don't want to miss out on bus over the cliff tragedy. So no, you know, but that's how he's so embracive of the game that even if people didn't want to have kids, even if people didn't have any need to have them, he would almost, for the sake of just being so, yes, it was worth it, he'll force them on the bus and force them to meet the end, just because he has to justify it. And the only justification is, I have to make sure that I can say every lousy, rotten bit of it is worth it. And so he's going to force the bad end just so he can say, see, that's my confidence. Or that's how provable it is that it's a good thing, because we put victims on the bus to go off the end. So he is almost like that. He's validating his philosophy in such an extreme way as to create somebody to, it's almost like the French Revolution. It's almost like they were trying to, hey, we got these cool guillotines, let's just find heads to cut off, because it's, you know, guillotines are cool, instant justice is cool, so let's do a whole bunch of instant justice and just start lopping heads off. Let's justify our past crimes by committing future crimes. And that's, I guess, what I'm trying to say, is that I can make the past crimes make sense by doing something even worse to the future. Then the past can't be a bad thing, and you'll never be able to argue that the future wasn't worth it because if the past wasn't worth it, you know what I mean. So you can just take the decision out of the equation by just making sure the future is just as bad as the past, and therefore it's justifiable. Something like that. Alright, so his argument again is this whole thing, we can't control anything, and obviously we as individuals have limited power. But we can convince other people to help us do something. So if there's a car stuck in the middle of the road, maybe me as an individual, I'm not strong enough to push it. But if I can talk a couple other people into pushing, we can push it off the road. So clearly the we thing gets a little complicated because we is just a, if you make we into a me, we still have power. We just have to wait for it to show up. We have to bring it to the action. We have to multiply our action by locking arms or doing something to give ourselves power. But it's certainly doable. So clearly Anna Kontavad, 40 years ago, he would go to a Mothers Against Drunk Driving meeting and he'd preach how what you're doing is futile. It's insanely stupid. Why don't you just have cake and coffee and enjoy conversations about how lazy your husbands are? Why are you women wasting your time worrying about this blood on the roads? You can't fix it. You can't do anything. Clearly they could do something, and they did. So again, it's just more, there has no evidence to back up his statements of futility. His futile argument is meaningless. It's so demonstrably untrue that clearly protest and argument and defiance and rejection are important motivational features that do create action in the world. So then he brings up Nietzsche in the context of that Cloud movie with Tom Hanks. I really don't like Tom Hanks. I remember him as a kid. He was in that show Bosom Buddies or something. They dressed up as women and they were really ugly women, and especially as a kid I just found that creepy. I really didn't want my sexual identity fucked up by stupid looking men trying to dress up like women and ending up looking like housewives. I mean, it just, no, well, not a great idea. But anyway, I'm not against the tranny thing. I'm just saying, don't fuck with a kid's head. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, make it an adult program or something. I don't want to see that shit. Anyway. Yeah, Frank, I don't even want to see it now, to tell you the truth. I mean, it's just not a thing I'm into. I'm just not into men in drag. It just doesn't do anything for me, except, make me a little bit nauseous. The same, yeah, whatever. You see a suffering world and you kill yourself. Yeah, so that's just, the argument he made. Just kill yourself. Well, anyway, the Cloud movie, I don't see much relevance. It's a little fantasy film that's, it's a formula film. Hooks, emotional, blah, 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 blah. It doesn't have anything to do with anything real. Anyway, you see a suffering world, blah, blah, yeah, kill yourself. Can't help the future if you're dead. Yeah, well, quite obviously. So it's just this love it or lump it argument that we have to do either one completely, and you can't do anything in between, like just say, I like parts of it and I hate parts of it, and I'd like to fix the parts that I hate, and I'd like to, enhance the parts I like, and blah, blah, blah. You can't do anything like that. You're either completely love everything about it, that means the cost, the price, everything is acceptable, or it's unacceptable and you must die. And those aren't even your choices. I find it all unacceptable. Yes, I find the price unacceptable, the basic nature of life is unacceptable, and I will fight it. I will I'll resist it, I'll cure it, I'll fix it. But I'm not gonna negate my capacity to prevent the harm you wish to perpetuate, because you have to validate your experiment. The only way to validate the experiment is to conduct it, is to force somebody else to do it. And so that's all you're doing. You're just declaring the validation by creating a new mess to be a mess, perpetuate the mess. rather than concede the mess is a mess. All right, and then he throws in it again. I don't see any. There's no really premise for conversation. It's almost like, okay, I get it. So why do let's not bother talking to each other, because I really can't do anything with your right to be contradictory. He keeps claiming this right, that there's some sort of substance and in terms of intellectual integrity or logic. That it's okay to be contradictory, that it's okay to have contradictory facts, it's okay to... No, this is exactly how logic doesn't work. This is exactly what is corrosive to intelligence, is you cannot hold two conflicting views. It doesn't work that way. That's not going to get you to reality, and that's a proven fact over history. You're not going to be able to make a watch that tells time using contradictions. You're not going to be able to do a ton of things that will work with your contradictions. You won't be able to even drive your car straight down the road if you're allowed to be contradictory and pretend it's okay to drive on the wrong side of the road. It doesn't work. It's a non-starter as an argument, and yeah, you want to use this as an excuse because you don't have a defense. Fine, but I'm going to call it exactly what it is. It's a tool being used to break argument, to break your capacity to lose the argument. And that's all it is. It's a cheat, because it fundamentally ends logic being any kind of box that we're attempting to construct this thing inside of, and you wish to go outside the box of reason and rationality, and so then what's the point? In my opinion, there's no point. You're right, so I guess that's about it. So that pretty much covers it all. Again, this idea that I have to lump something is bullshit. I don't have to lump it. I can fight, and that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to fight with rational arguments, not irrational arguments. I'm going to use the evidence of what we have earned over over 10,000 years. Another part of what's so annoying about Anaconabot is he drapes himself in ancient Greece and in Buddha and in all these intellectual stories, all the what do you call them? Those little the intelligent fairy tales. What are they called? Fables. It's another word for them. But anyway, he drapes himself in all this stuff that intelligent men have built as these are ways of understanding the traps of life and the metaphors. And he drapes himself in that, and then he does this, he puts his sponge #1 finger on, Trump, 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 and does his I trump. My subjective personal interest is the only interest that exists in the universe, and does all this stuff that is so myopic and so contrary to many of the arguments being made in those bits of philosophy, even the Golden Rule. Simple little pieces of logic, that you're going to get what you put in. That garbage in, garbage out. All that kind of stuff, and he just negates the substance of the knowledge gleaned from those stories, and does this professional wrestler fan thing. He's turns himself into one of the idiocraites, in the streets begging for more violent television and more. Give me what I want. I want double baked potato sandwiches with donuts in between. I want, and he just sits there and becomes a fan for the glutton, the fan for the cheat, the fan for the Tyrannosaurus. The bug. Be a bug. And that's all this man is really saying. Be the bug you were evolved to be. Don't attempt to use something called your intelligence in any other way but as a tool for your penis or your belly. Don't think that this thing can do anything independent of what you want. It can't ever apply judgment that you ever have to listen to. It'll never tell you the truth. Your intelligence will never tell you the truth about what an asshole you are. It's lying to you when it does that. Yeah. When it says don't rape the woman because it's causing harm, it's lying to you. You're supposed to rape. That's what you're built to do. Yeah. Be the rapist you were meant to be. I mean, it's that stupid. That's what he's arguing. And it's stupid. It's ignorant. It's colossally ignorant. And yet he's draped it in Buddha. Draped it in, I don't even know all their names, but Epiphany and Epiphany and Epiphany. All these people who had beards and sat around thinking and going, oh shit, how the hell does this work? And they spend all this time angsting over these truths, and their answer wasn't be a Tyrannosaurus. That was one asshole, Nietzsche, the only asshole arguing be a Tyrannosaurus. Everybody else was saying, don't be a fucking Tyrannosaurus. Alright, that's enough, I think. Alright, the camera's kind of warm, but it appears to still be working, so. Yeah, at least I got the video in the can this time, so to speak. It is a can, actually. So anyway, till next time.